Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, rather. Good to be here. Today, we're going to be meeting with the others, and we took a course. We'll summarize what we learned from the course. We were studying email marketing, specifically with something called MailChimp. So if I open up this is the course that we took, or at least took most of. And so the way this group's going to work, at least for the next couple times, we're experimenting with something new. We basically are a course book club. So we meet, we figure out what we want to learn, and as a group, we decide on a course to take. We take the course, and then the next week, we talk about what we learned and what we thought, and etc., etc. And then we pick a new course. And I'm not sure if we're always going to be doing this, because I like the accountability thing, but this is what we're doing for now. Okay, so we learned about email marketing here. I'm going to wait for others to join. Might be a while. In the meantime, I will be looking at the chat. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, as always, opening up the live chat. Where's my channel? Here it is. What's up, Amuya and things I have found? How are you guys doing? Amuya says, hi, digital products on eBay, question mark. You can, in some situations, sell digital products on eBay, but typically you need to ship something physical. Oh, look what I can do. Watch, you ready? You ready? Boom, I got a little image right there. Oh. So let's look at eBay's digital goods policy. It's a pretty open-ended question, though, but I'll try and help you understand what you can and can't sell on eBay, okay? Electronically delivered goods can only be listed by eBay-approved sellers. I don't even know what an eBay-approved seller is. Okay. So you cannot sell copies or codes for movies that you got from purchasing a physical item. You need to get approved to list electronically delivered items outside of everything else. Okay, gotcha. So if you are not approved by eBay to list your electronically delivered items, then you have to post your products in the everything else information products category. Except tickets, domain names, digital trading cards, or online gaming virtual items. Okay. Well, this doesn't help you too much. eBay basically says that there's some cases you can, some cases you can't, and if you get approved, then you'll have better luck. But in general, they don't really like it when you sell digital goods because it's so easy to do, and do in like a fraudulent way. Like you're not allowed to sell gift cards and that kind of thing, but you'd have to talk to someone. I'm out of experience with that kind of stuff with eBay. I still use eBay and I consult with people, but I've never sold anything digitally. People are always asking about it though, so. So Amuna, every single live that I ever do is saved automatically. It's not something that I have to do. Look, if you go to YouTube and then you search for Jack Pittman, you go to my channel, then you just click on videos, And then here where it says uploads, you click on live streams. And then you can see all the recent live streams. And you can actually just do all live streams. So now you can see every live stream that I've ever done. See? I don't need to save them or anything. The only problem here is that you're not going to know what's in the live stream. Like, how do you know what this one's about? The title is Work Smart, Not Hard, Livestream Mastermind Group. You don't know anything, right? So that's kind of something I can work on. Sometimes I change the title. Like you can see this one is setting up day trading accounts. Okay? But this is only a 10-second one, so it must have been this one? Oh no, it's this right here. So this is the real one, the 2-hour one. I don't know why there's a 10-second one. I can probably delete that, but whatever. Somebody just joined. Who joined? It is Rita. What's up, Rita? If you can hear me. We got a lot of chat stuff today. Okay. Dumpster Diver Dad says, good morning, everybody. Sam asked, oh, ebooks. I think ebooks are pretty, let's see. Maybe I can find you some more information about this. Selling ebooks. eBay. I want to find, okay, well that says no, but that's just some random thing. Here we go. Alright, I've been trying to resell some of my ebooks with resale rights, and I noticed that many sellers would list their books under the Other Books subcategory with similar description of the book as the other sellers of the same book, but would list. It's basically the same book with the same pictures and the same description, but I don't understand why my listings get removed for violating the eBay policy, and the other sellers that listed the exact same item with the exact same way are untouched. Welcome to eBay! You're going to get screwed over and over again, and you're going to browse search results and see people doing exactly what you get screwed for! That's eBay! Unfortunately, I'd like to tell you that it's not like that, but it is. Yeah, so basically, if you're selling e-products, you have two choices. It has to be a classified ad, so you list it in the other ad, or the classified ad is like a different section of eBay. So you have to put it in a specific category, right? So you can either do that, or you can use a service that ships a letter that has the access code to your ebook. So in that sense, you're shipping the access to the book. The reason that you can do that is because it gives you a tracking number. So then you are shipping something. So that's one workaround. And you may say, oh, I'm not in the US, I can't do that. You still can. Like, there's tons of services you can use to get stuff mailed, but it's kind of expensive sometimes. So, for example, I use this called mailaletter.com. I use it to send letters to my grandmother because I live in Nicaragua, right? So you literally just write an email or a letter here, and you click send, and then you pay, and then someone prints it in the US and ships it for you. So there are options you can use, but I understand that that's not really going to be viable in this case because this service, like, it's $2 without tracking. With tracking, it's like $8, and that's probably more than your ebook costs. So maybe you can look into, like, what's the cheapest way you can get a tracking number sent. Could be. All right. Anybody have any questions? We're still waiting on Bray. Rita, are you got some time to speak, or what's going on with you?
Hi, Jack. Yeah, my plans fell through. I'm still gonna drive somewhere, but it's fine. I'm not on a time schedule now, so that's good.
Nice.
Yeah, I just those things. So so we're gonna wait till Bray gets on the line before we talk about the
Yeah, I guess
course,
so.
the Skillshare course.
May as well.
Okay.
I know he'll show up at
Alrighty.
some point.
Good. Yeah, he probably will. So how are you?
I've been doing great. I've been really obsessing over this video. I'm making this video course for something in a video game. And at this point, I've put more effort into this one YouTube video than like my other courses. Not the dropshipping course. That was more work. But I've been working on it like a lot. Basically what I'm doing is I'm teaching people how to do something in a video game, and so I'm using a lot of clips to teach them individual moves and mechanics. And so the way it works, like you show a clip on repeat on like a loop, and it repeats like 3 or 4 times, and then you comment over it saying like, okay, now that you've seen this once, pay specific attention to this part because it's easy to miss. So you show it like 3 times so that they really get it. And there's a lot of like making a video without any audio that I then play and record me doing commentary over, and then that gets cut up and put into a section in another video. It's like making videos that get put in videos that you're making that get put in videos that you're making. There's like 4 layers of Inception. It's crazy.
Wow, so a lot of editing, a ton of editing.
Yeah, I've never done so much editing actually. I can actually share it. I'll load the project. I don't do editing like at all. Like I try and make a point
Yeah, I
not
thought
to.
so.
But that apparently is changing with this. I don't really like. There's plenty of other things I could be working on, but I really want to work on this stuff. I've been working on it almost every day, and it's like I wish I could just be like this on what I pick. Like that'd be dope. But
Well, maybe this is telling you something.
yeah, maybe this
You
is
know,
the
the different.
this is the entry to that. Because
Maybe this
it'll
is
be
the
done in like
thing.
a
The
week.
thing.
Oh no, this isn't the right one. One second. I'm showing an example of the video, but oh yeah, this is it. So this is the video I've been working on. And so there's all these components, all these little parts, and even like subtitles and crap and icons. I've made all these like graphics and stuff to be used to talk about like PowerPoints. It's weird. I'm not used to this kind of work, but it's fun. I like it.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah, it's neat because I haven't even really heard you talk much about gaming. Well, I know you play. I didn't know you had an interest in.
It's like my long term.
Making videos about it.
My long term interest is to create video games. And I used to study that. I used to like want to be a video game developer, but basically I got to a point where I felt that if I wanted to really make good games, I had to put myself ahead of my competition. And so many video game developers, one, it's an incredibly high demand job. Like tons of people want to make video games. Loads and loads of people. It's not like other computing fields where there's more demand than available people. For video game development, there's more people interested than actual jobs, okay? Whereas almost all the other for almost all the other IT and programming stuff, it's the opposite. There's way more demand than there is people available to fulfill those positions, right? And one of the recurring themes in the video game industry is that projects get rushed because of deadlines, and it's not so much the focus isn't about making a really good product. It's about getting money for that product and then making a second one and getting money for that and continuing the cycle over and over and over again till you have like 18 games of the same franchise. That's like how most of the AAA major game titles work. And I felt that I would be better off leaving video game development and re-entering it once I have loads of free time and loads of money. So that's when I started doing other things to try and figure out how can I put myself in a situation where I have a lot of free time and I have good finances. Because these are the two things that hold back almost all indie game developers. So if you can get yourself in a scenario where the two biggest weaknesses of all your competition are your two greatest strengths, then inevitably you're going to do quite well. And so a lot of my life has been getting myself to be in a position where I can make games on my own schedule and not have to worry about paying rent or anything else. And now I am way closer to that. Like before it seemed like a pipe dream. Now it's like, I mean, I don't have a lot of money, but I don't need to worry about being able to pay my rent and these kind of things. I could, if I wanted to, just work on creating a video game for a year or two, and I wouldn't have to focus on anything else. So I could do that now, but I'm still not like mentally ready. I want to make sure that I have more projects and more income streams so that if I do focus on something for a year or two, I'm not going to find that all my income streams dry up while I'm doing that. But
Right.
this so much isn't that I want to create videos about video games. This is teaching some people something. Basically, once you get to the end of the game, there's something that you can do to earn money that's really challenging and really tough and tricky. And I've watched like every single guide on it on YouTube, and there's like 20 of them. And some of them are pretty good, but all that they do is they just show you they record it and then end it. It's a clip of them showing you what they're doing. They're not actively like showing you presentations, trying to teach you, get you to understand all the mechanics, and then showing you. So it's really easy to watch it and not really understand what's happening. So this is interesting because I've looked at the competition and I'm making a product that is very different than the competition, but still integrates everything that the competition is doing. And I feel like I'm in a really good position to teach about this. And it's the kind of video that alone could get a really high shareability. Because like there's a network of people I can share it with within this game, a bunch of people playing it. And then I can funnel that into like, oh, you play World of Warcraft, you like doing this on the computer. What if you could like Alt-Tab and earn money and then Alt-Tab, go back to WoW, and just that's how you work. You know, you play WoW and you do your online work, you go back, you play some WoW. There's a lot of ways for me to be like, hey, online income's really cool if you play video games, and then transition into getting some of that traffic to be more interested in my other kinds of content and the consulting and all that kinds of stuff. So it's not just like something that's just for fun. I'm having a lot of fun, but I also understand how I could make it be the kind of thing that gets me more traction, even though it's not necessarily directly related to the rest of my content. It is related in the sense that there's something specific I'm trying to teach, and I'm going to try and do that very effectively, which is a theme that I think about a lot with lots of different content, whether I'm teaching something about YouTube or Udemy or dropshipping or whatever. So I'm excited about it.
I guess so. Sounds good. Sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I like the idea of integrating it with, your lifestyle and what you've done already, and yeah, I mean, I think that would appeal to a lot of people. A lot of young people. I wouldn't say a lot. I should say. I take that back. A niche of people. Good sized niche of people want to work for themselves and have fun.
Yeah.
So, I could see that. That's pretty cool.
And
I like it.
One thing I need to work on is better understanding how my headspace works and how my mentality is and how that is different than other people. Because this is something that's becoming more and more true, because my headspace is becoming more and more different than other people because my lifestyle is so different. And like it's realistically only been about 1 year where I've had like total freedom and not some kind of trauma in my life. Whereas previously I may have had some freedom like the year before last year, but there was traumas, there was a lot of intenseness. I was in a new environment, I was super scared, yada, yada, yada. Whereas now it's really peaceful and it's nice. And this is just after 1 year. Imagine what like changes will happen after 4 years or 5 years, right? And one thing that is happening is that I'm forgetting that my headspace is different than other people, and this is causing me to have trouble communicating concepts and teaching effectively. So, for example, I was in a taxi recently, and this whole conversation was in Spanish, which limited me a bit because I can't express myself super well in Spanish, but I'm getting much better. And the taxi driver asked what I did for work, and I was saying I teach people to earn money online. And then he was like, how? And I was like, oh, there's loads of ways to earn money online. And he was like, but how does it work? What is it? And I was like, oh my God, how do I explain to him these hundreds of thousands of different ways? And I was like, you can make videos. And he was like, but they're just videos. How does that earn money? And I was like, oh crap. How do I explain all this? It's like in my head, from my perspective, there's an infinite number of ways. Yet from this person's perspective, he's cynical that there's even one way. How do I communicate between these two mentalities, you know? How do I... Because realistically, that's how most people are. Like, if you talk about online income, they have a lot of hesitation, paranoia, and they doubt it. And, like, I understand that is not the case at all in any way whatsoever. There's no reason to doubt that you can earn money online. There's so many different ways to do it. It's just a matter of being able to build that belief inside of you so you see how to do it, right? But that's super tricky. And one thing I need to work on is, like, how do I communicate in a way where I can explain these concepts to these people who have so much cynicism and disbelief, and they are, what's the word? No, cynical. Yeah, cynical's the good word. Like, anytime they think of an opportunity, they're like, no, probably not. I don't think so. Maybe only 1 or 2 people could do that, when the reality is anybody can do it, which is an inconvenient truth, I guess. I don't know.
Do you really believe that anybody can do it?
Hell yeah. There's so...
Because I don't know if some people can. I don't know. You know, you have to... I don't know. I have a little cynicism. I'm not saying you can't make money, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anybody can do it. I do think you have to have a certain mindset, and you have to have a certain amount of intelligence. Either that or money to pay other people to do stuff for you. Well, but I mean, you don't realize how smart you are, dude. You don't realize like how versatile that your brain is.
I'm in this
not
situation
everybody can do what you've done
because of relentlessly just doing something on a regular basis. Like, not because I'm a smart person, not because of that. Like, people perceive me as intellectual because my father died, and I was placed in a position when I was a young child to be like, okay, I need to raise myself. I need to be aware of myself. What do I think will make me a smarter person? Like, I had a lot of reason to pay attention to how I was developing ever since I was 12. And that's one of the reasons people perceive me as intellectual now. It's not because I'm literally just born a smart person or anything like that. It's because of circumstance. And that's what I try and explain to people, is that, like, when it comes to the internet and earning something online, there is a way for every single personality type to do it. You just have to be able to keep going and do it. Because realistically, like, you could ask the same question about real life. Like, imagine just get rid of the internet completely. Is there one job that will work for everybody? No, absolutely not. However, is there a job that is great and perfect for specific individuals? Absolutely. Every single person has a job that would make them happy, that exists, right? Doesn't mean they're going to find it. Doesn't mean there's a good or high chance they're going to find it, but it exists. It is possible. And the internet is even bigger. The internet is huge. There are so many different ways to earn money on the internet. You can literally take something in the real world that is losing you money and make the internet turn it into something profitable. There are more ways to earn money online than there are to earn money in the real world. And essentially, if you get known, if you get a name for any reason, even if it's bad, on the internet, that then allows you to create a product and connect with people. If people know your name, if people know you exist, that means you can earn money. And I'm not going to say it's easy, but once you identify the work, it is easy. It's not a hard life. Like, I am super, super, super spoiled. I live this way and I only work an hour or two. I could do so much more work than I do, but I don't. And that's not because I'm smart. It's literally because of the time that I was born and the act of me placing myself in Nicaragua. These two things. Literally anybody could do what I did as long as they don't have something holding them back or some major responsibilities, right? So I shouldn't say anybody, because say that you have a family, you have like 2 kids and a wife or something, or an ex-wife, then you moving to Nicaragua maybe isn't feasible, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't change the location into somewhere that doesn't cost as much. You always have options. And the point is that, like, you have to change the way that you think so that you think that there's options and think that there's solutions, even when there might not be. You are way, way, way better off being ignorant in that way. Like, you should be able to just force the mentality that there is always a solution and something can always be done. This should just be like a trigger. You can just say it. And it doesn't even matter if you're right or wrong. That mentality will create a great life for you. But what a lot of people do is they want to be right. And so they're like, oh, it's probably not going to happen. Probably not going to work. Probably not right. You know? Basically, you make a choice. You can either be right or you can learn. Most people want to be right. And so they're afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of learning. And they want other people to think of them as a smart person. So they want to be correct. But really, that's just it. Super complicated societal crap. I'm going on a tangent.
That's fine. I love it. That's funny. Yeah, you're right. There's something to that. Is control. You know, it's if you can say, oh, it doesn't work or it's probably not going to work, then you feel like somehow you've got some kind of control. You know, that you're the smart one. You didn't waste your time or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know how many, like, okay, I don't have like the best life I possibly could. Like, as I mentioned, I could be more diligent, I could work more, I could earn substantially more money, but I am essentially retired. I'm 26. I can do anything that I want. And a lot of this is because 3 or 4 years ago, I was doing a bunch of stuff that people are like, "You're so dumb. What's wrong with you? Who do you think you are?" But like, all that stuff. I was constantly hearing that. And then now I'm in a situation where I can do whatever I want, and those people are still bitching about the world and their circumstances and their problems, and their lives doesn't really change that much. And it just kind of goes to show that there's this, sometimes people will tell you that if people aren't judging you, then you're not doing things right, essentially. And I don't want to say that's always true, but there definitely is something to be said about people giving you crap for improving your life and getting out of the situation that they're in.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's definitely real.
People hate it when you are out of the system. You know, as far as the system jobs, you know, they're jealous. I think because they really want to do it. They'd love to do it, but they haven't had the guts yet to do it, and so they have to say those things, like you said. They have to say, "Oh, that's not going to work," and all that. It's funny.
Yeah, that
Fortunately, when I get into dog walking and dog care, I was at the end of my rope with jobs. I'd had to stay with jobs, or I felt I did when my kids were growing up. I was a single mom. I did get some child support, but probably should have got a little bit more. And I was at jobs, and I had to. I felt I had to. I couldn't see a way out of it at that time. But by the time my kids, my youngest went to college, I was just exhausted. I was just exhausted, and I didn't. This is not public, right? No. You know, I lived in my van for 4.5 years so I could start a business because I didn't have any capital. All I had was my legs and my van. And I had to. I didn't see a way out of that because I wasn't going to work 2 or 3 jobs to have an apartment, and I didn't want to have any roommates. So I was just like You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't this decision, like, it wasn't some brave decision. I was actually just exhausted, you know? So I don't know where I was going with that, but but because I've been through that and I did get a viable business going, it did give me some confidence that I can do other things.
Yeah, that confidence is probably more important than anything else. That's something I've learned that used to kind of disturb me a little bit. I wasn't happy. Do you ever like learn something about the world and then you're like, man, I really wish that wasn't true.
Oh yeah.
I
All
feel
the
like
time.
that. I feel like that a lot as well. But specifically, one way that I feel that way about is about confidence, because realistically, you're better off sounding confident, even if you have nothing to be confident about, than not sounding confident. The act of being able to sound confident is probably the single most important skill that a human can possess. Because if you can talk about something confidently, granted, it's not always going to be good, because if it's very obvious you don't know what you're talking about, then people get irritated at you because you're saying something so confidently and they know you're full of shit, right? So it's not always perfect. But in general, if you can learn to talk about something confidently, you can become a person who is very well networked and knows a lot of people and has higher access to opportunity. The key to that is to being able to talk about something confidently. Not only for other people, but also for yourself. If you gain the ability to talk about a subject confidently, or you talk about yourself confidently, you can trick yourself. You can literally reduce the amount of thoughts in your head that are bad and negative and critical just by learning to be confident, even if you don't think that something's going to work out, right? Like, say you're getting into an opportunity and you have a bunch of doubt in your mind and you don't think it's going to work and you think you're going to give up. Perfect example of, do you want to be right or do you want to learn? Because realistically, you could be like, oh no, I'm just going to give up if I try, so I'm not even going to try. I'm going to be right in predicting that I can't do it, okay? So you're taking the I'm going to be right path. Versus you could take the I'm going to learn path and use some confidence, right? So how would this work? Well, you would start doing this thing, and then you would be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. I'm going to work on it. And then maybe you give up 2 or 3 weeks later. You were wrong. You didn't do it. But for those 2 or 3 weeks, you did stuff. You learned. And that is a building block for stuff you do in your future. And really, even if you're always changing your mind, always doing different things, as long as you are actually learning and you're working on something, every time you lose interest in something and move on to something else, you are narrowing your focus in the future so that you inevitably get to a point where you are focused on a specific range of different things, right? This happened with me, for example, when I was much younger, like 10 or 11 years ago. I would do things like I would study cooking, and then I would want to do musical stuff, and then I would look at video game development, and then I would do gardening. And it's like those things have like almost nothing to do with each other. Like very like cooking and gardening are kind of related. Music and video games could be related because music's in video games, but music's in everything in the world, so I don't know if that really counts, right? Whereas now, like, I make videos to make videos about teaching or about cooking. Everything that I do in my life is like, it can be expressed through a video. So I found this one thing, the act of creating videos, that allows all these different things to come together, right? And I personally think that it's okay to lose interest in stuff. It's okay to not stick with things. You just have to keep going and keep learning. And especially as a younger person, at least, one of the common tropes is like, oh, when I was your age, I just didn't focus on one thing and I did a bunch of stuff. And I think that's just what it's like to be human. Like, if you want to get to the point where you're focused on one thing, you had to have lost interest in a buttload of other things, so you know you want to focus on that one thing. Like, but I feel like that's just how we all work, isn't it? Why do we give each other so much crap? And why are we so mean to each other and to ourselves when we're just not able to do something consistently for more than a month or two? You know? Like, why do we beat ourselves up about these things?
Well, yeah, whose business is it anyway? I mean, really, it's my life. Nobody's going to come rescue me and help me have interesting things to do unless I do it. I'm the one that has to do that to keep my life interesting. Nobody else is going to save me from the TV monster. You
The
know,
TV
like that
monster.
seems like the alternative. If you don't have interests, you end up, watching TV and whatever, going wherever, different things, bars or whatever the normies do. So then I never wanted that. So yeah, I don't really care. I'm glad we talked about it though, because I have had some shame about. I have flitted around quite a bit in the last few years. Mostly, I did keep the focus on the dog walking because I needed to make money. That's and that wasn't even really that interested in that. To be honest, that wasn't a top interest, but it was something I could make money at. But yeah, it's good. I'm glad you mentioned it because I do have a little bit of what do you call it? A little bit of shame, like I feel like with my family and some friends that nobody says anything, but I feel like they think I'm flaky and weird because I'm always trying different, I tried a little social media marketing. I dabbled with Facebook ads. All the stuff you guys talk about, 99% of it I've played with, at some point. But that's cool, for me, because then I feel a part of the conversation because I know what's going on at least,
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of, I don't have anything in common with people that just watch TV and go to work, watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed. I don't have anything in common with that.
But I guess that's a
I don't
lot
even know how to
of
relate.
people, isn't it? I don't know.
I think so. They do other things too. I mean, what do they do? They go to concerts and they go to concerts.
They go to
They go to
concerts?
parties and
Question
drink.
mark?
I don't know. I didn't really do much of that. Even as a teenager, my parents were strict. They go to concerts. They go to the car shows, whatever, things. I don't know.
Rita's worldview of
But
an
anyway,
average normal person.
that's my worldview of them. Yes, a lot of TV. I don't know. I mean, that's how my parents were, so maybe that's just my worldview, But the TV was on as soon as they got home. They may or may not be watching it, but my dad usually did. He got home about 3:30 in the afternoon because he started early, and he would sit in his big Archie Bunker, lazy boy chair, put the paper in front of his face while he listened to the news on the TV. There kind of felt a little emotionally unavailable,
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of that era. That's what men did, fathers. I think that was kind of normal for an American man. And he's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but but I never wanted that kind of life, it's really boring to me, but it does make it hard to connect with regular people.
Yeah, for sure.
I think most regular people are pretty boring. They don't just.
I always struggle with
I've
that
gone
too. Because I don't know if
I've gone to events where we don't even talk. We don't even talk because nobody has anything going on in their lives. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And I know if I start talking about my stuff, then it's going to just look at me like with a blank stare. But I could be wrong. There could be some gems in there. I just, you do have to.
Well,
You have to just
we're always
try,
gonna if we ever make a broad generalization about people, it's gonna be wrong. It's never these kind of things are never right about old people. But we are touching on something that I kind of struggle with a bit. Is the kind of the mentality differences between an entrepreneurial person and a more traditionally employed person, because in my life, for example, I never turn off the part of me that's like, okay, what can I improve in my life? What can I work on to make things better? That part of me is always alive and thinking. I maybe am not interacting with it, but it's always there. Whereas a lot of people I know, they go to work and then they come home and then they're like, I did my work. now I'm relaxing. They have this separation where they're like, we're not at work, we're not working. And I personally don't have that separation. Like when I'm relaxing, I'm thinking about work, and when I'm working, I'm thinking about relaxing constantly. And anytime I see something that could be fixed, I don't think, oh, I did enough today, I don't need to do that, I'm not working now. I think, oh, I should do that. Why haven't I done it yet? I need to do it. I want to do it. Why haven't I done it yet? That part is always, always, always there. And for me, it's a bit of a struggle because I haven't learned to separate it properly. And that probably comes from sleeping there, spending a lot of time here, and, you know, working and being in the same space all the time. But I think also it's probably better off to be this way, because whenever I see a problem, I immediately start trying to fix it. It doesn't matter if I'm at work. It doesn't matter if I'm at vacation. It doesn't matter if I'm like at the grocery store and I'm on the way to something and I see something. When I see problems, my brain responds by trying to create solutions. Always. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing.
Me too.
Whereas if you are stuck in that employed mentality, then you may think, oh, it doesn't matter, because you get used to that, especially being in a job where you are not allowed to make decisions. That is so bad for the brain, like so incredibly bad. If you're in an environment and you see problems and you are literally not allowed to come up with ways to fix them, that is bad for you. You should be in an environment.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, huge, because it makes you complacent. It makes you stop moving. And it makes you okay with that. Like, that's what you're paid to do. It's horrible.
Well, you know, some jobs you're not supposed to do that. You know, you're a cog, and I don't like being a cog. I like to have agency. I like to be able to make changes and things like that. So that's why it was so hard for me to, you know, to be at a job, because they would all, and I was just a cog. I'm not educated, so I was just in kind of secretarial roles, we'll call it. And you know, they always say, the companies always say, please come to us with your ideas and this and that. And every time I did, everything was shut down because they had their own plan. They were in charge, and they had their own plan. And you know, and plus I couldn't see the big picture either. Some of my ideas were probably kind of dumb, to be honest, because I didn't see the big picture at the time. You know, I had never run a company. But yeah, it's very, it makes you feel like a child, and oh, I just hated it. You know, like, oh, how, you know, you almost have to ask permission to use the bathroom. Not really, but it feels like that. Like, what if I'm gone too long?
You do, yeah.
So disgusting.
1 second, I'm looking at the chat. All right. Oh, hey. Okay, so Dumpster Diver Dad said, what's the best way to make money off of YouTube? Getting monetized or affiliates? I like these questions. I love questions about YouTube, especially about earning money from YouTube, because then I can go on my little rant about earning money from YouTube. And I love that rant. It's great.
Yay! Hooray!
So when people think about earning money from YouTube, typically you hear the words monetized and ad revenue. And you think of big YouTubers earning a bunch of money from the ad revenue on their videos. The reality is there are tons of different ways you can earn money from a YouTube channel, and ad revenue represents a very small portion. No matter what your YouTube channel is, there is always one most effective way to earn money, and that is to have a digital product that is relevant to your audience. That is always the king, because if you have a digital product that's, you know, anywhere from $20 to $200 or $1,000 even, that is relevant to your audience, that means that as your YouTube channel grows, you earn more money. You don't have to rely on YouTube's ad revenue algorithms, how they're changing every 1 or 2 years, something changes, you suddenly start earning 30% more, or you suddenly start earning 80% less. You know, these kind of things happen a lot with ad revenue. It fluctuates a lot. Whereas when you have your own product, it's all about you being able to find more people, that that product is useful to and continuously improving your product. It is the absolute best way is to have a digital product that replicates endlessly without you having to recreate it. All you have to do is keep it updated, keep it maintained. That's it. You don't have to rebuild it every time. That is relevant to your audience. Okay? And you can use sponsorships, and these are a good way to make money, and they're how a lot of YouTubers make money. But if you imagined like a bar chart, right? Like imagine that there's a bar chart and there's 3 bars. You got 1 bar here, 1 bar here, and 1 bar here, right? One of those bars is advertisement revenue from a YouTube channel. The other one is sponsorship revenue. And the other one is your own actual product. The amount of money from your own actual product is always going to be the biggest. It is definitely the most effective way to earn money from a YouTube channel. You can use sponsorship, and that does earn you money. Same thing with ad revenue. But these are things that you're better off not focusing on because you're going to get them anyway. So you may as well focus on having a good digital product for your YouTube channel and then also do sponsorship and also do the affiliate work. Because basically that would be like, hey, you know, this video, okay, we're sponsored by Skillshare. Yeah, right? And then yada, yada, yada. And then you talk about your actual product when it becomes relevant in the video. You can do all of these. But people really underestimate the value of having your own digital product. And this is something that as like a YouTuber myself, I understand really well now. Whereas in the beginning, I had that kind of mentality where it's like, oh, how do you earn money from YouTube? Well, you have to get a really big YouTube channel so that you can get all that ad revenue money. And that can happen. Essentially, every time you upload a YouTube video, you're buying a lottery ticket. And there is a chance that that video will just get 1 million views. And that means you get like $2,000-$3,000 every month for the next 3 or 4 months. That is possible. It does happen. But I want you to understand that imagine that scenario where you got a viral video and you were earning thousands of dollars from it in ad revenue. If that viral video was attached to a relevant product, you wouldn't be earning thousands of dollars. You would be earning tens of thousands of dollars. It's always better to have your own digital product that is relevant to the content of the video. That is always the most effective way to earn money on YouTube. There are tons of other ways, like sponsorships, affiliate links. You can get paid on commission. Like I've gotten paid to make YouTube videos before. Like people will pay like $100, $200 for some minor video that barely gets views. In some cases, if you have a really big channel, people will pay you a couple grand just to make one video and talk about their product, whatever. There's lots of different ways. And also, one thing I want you to understand is opportunity. Because you don't just get paid by YouTube in money. You also get paid in opportunity. As a person, you are going to be in a much better position if you are well connected to loads of other people and you can help other people meet people. If you can connect to other people, you essentially have a job. I've gotten paid a lot from consulting work, literally, to just have a conversation with 2 other individuals who don't know each other. So Bob comes along and he's like, hey, I want to learn about Amazon FBA. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about it, but I have this guy and he does it for 4 years. We're going to all talk together. And then I get paid for connecting these 2 people, even though I don't know anything about it, right? That's literally a networking benefit. And there's so many opportunities that you get from YouTube that aren't financial, but lead into financial opportunity. And that's something people also really underestimate. So those are the big 2 things I want you to understand. One, if you're trying to earn money from YouTube, your best bet is a digital product relevant to your content. Absolutely the most effective way to earn money, okay? And 2 is that don't underestimate the opportunity that you're going to get paid from YouTube. You're going to meet people. You're going to get connected with people that will change your life. Like in my case, I wouldn't have just come to Nicaragua. I wouldn't have logically been able to be like, oh, I'm not earning enough money to live in the States. I don't want to work at Starbucks anymore. I got to earn more money. I could go to Nicaragua where the cost of living's so low and I could have the life I want now. But I just logically know that. I'm scared. I have preconceptions. I'm not actually going to do it, right? But because I met someone on YouTube, they invited me to live there for 2 weeks, and that shattered all of my preconceptions. I was then able to go back and live there. But if it wasn't for YouTube, none of that would have happened. All of the money that I earn now, even if it's not directly related to YouTube, is possible because of YouTube. So that's the second thing I really want you guys to understand. You're going to get paid in opportunity. That's indirect. It's not just going to be like people messaging you being like, hey, yo, we want to pay you for this. That's honestly that does happen a lot, but it's often scammy people. The best opportunities for you are when like-minded individuals reach out to you, you connect with them, you have conversations, you develop relationships, you work on projects together. That is what leads you to like crazy, crazy stuff in the future. Because with all things with humans, you can think like, oh, you want to be a really talented person, you want to be the best, you want to be really well known, you want to be famous, whatever. But the reality is, people don't create great things alone. Teams of people create great, amazing things. All amazing things that we have in this world, all these great movies, books, everything is created with a team of people. People don't work alone. Like, we don't work well alone. That is reality. You are always better off working with somebody who is a good fit for you. You can't just work with any random person and think it's going to be better. But if you find a good fit to work on a project, you are going to do it way better than if you were doing something your own. And that's another reason that opportunity pay is so real with YouTube, because it basically puts you in a position where you have access to the entire world to find and connect with other like-minded individuals who you can work on stuff with. Whereas in your real life, you may struggle to even find somebody who even knows what the thing you're working on is, let alone cares about it, let alone actually wants to do it themselves. You know how hard it was for me to find somebody who was interested in dropshipping in my physical life? If I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would think nobody in the world knew about dropshipping, because I was always the one explaining what it was to people, and they were always confused by it. Yet, because of YouTube, I understand very well. Tons of people know about dropshipping, right? Oh, I got the dreaded internet connection unstable message. All right, let's look at this chat. Well, are you still there, Rita, or did I disconnect completely?
I'm here.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Nothing. Everything's. Yeah. You didn't. There was no delay or anything when you were talking. So I think you're okay. You're okay for the moment.
Well, I don't know if Bray's joining. I guess we should start on the course. Huh?
Yeah. I think so. Just in case. Maybe he'll pop in. He might be having technical difficulties too. I think he has once or twice before.
Yeah.
I only watched a little more than half because I got a little bit. Two things. I mean, a lot of it was review for me.
Okay.
Because I kind of dabbled in it before. And I've created like a landing page and done the whole funnel thing. I was dabbling with, like I said, I was dabbling with social media marketing, and that led me to, when you know anything about doing stuff online, people like business people that you might want to work for, they assume you know how to do everything. They don't realize how specialized each thing is. But it was cool for me because he asked me to do, to make something where people could go online and order this thing from Facebook ads, and so so I did all this. But anyway, I got overwhelmed a little, even though it was review. I kind of got overwhelmed because I just thought I need a plan if I'm going to do anything like that. It's a lot. It's a lot of work, and so I wouldn't mind if we talked about, whoever wants to do it, like we talked about the plan, the strategy. It'll be a little different for everyone, but you got a product, and then you got, no, I can't even remember right now, but you know what I mean? I just immediately just started feeling like I just need a plan. I need to sit down and write down what my goal would be, and then kind of work my way backwards. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I just had to turn it off because I was just like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
Yeah, I get like that sometimes, but it tends to stop me from learning about stuff. Like this course, for example, I watched while I was doing other things 3 separate times, and then I watched through the course once. And
wow.
I know that I'm not going to make an email campaign right now, but I know that I know exactly how to when I'm ready to, and that it's a problem that I'm not doing it, and that I should start soon, because once you set it up, it's not too crazy. But so there's a couple things that I want to summarize about the course and then reconnected. It's weird how some things can have internet while the others don't. It's weird. I don't understand that. But so, okay, you took the first half of the course, right?
Yeah.
So from the perspective of, okay, people listening to this, they just know we're talking about email marketing. They see that I have this course in the background. They don't know anything else. What would you summarize, what was your takeaway from the first half of it? Even if it was not new things to you, what can you explain that was talked about in the first half of the course that is relevant to other people listening, or maybe will help me understand something, or Bray or someone else?
Oh boy, a lot of pressure. So email marketing is considered one of the best ways to reach out to people who have expressed an interest in your niche, your thing, whatever you're going over. It can be on YouTube, it can be anywhere, but I'll just say YouTube for now. So you start a YouTube channel, say about dog sitting, and you would have people that would find your channel and be interested, and you would have some way of getting their email address. Some people, actually, I think I'm adding this. I don't think she talked about this, but sometimes you offer something free to people in exchange for their email address. And if they're interested enough, they will do it. And then that's how you stay in touch with them. And she talked about a certain percentage of the time when you're emailing these people, you're just maybe putting out information or entertaining them. And then it's, I don't remember what the percentage is, 60-40. No, I don't even know what she said it was. I don't remember the percentage, but a certain percentage of the time, then you're asking for a sale of some kind. And your sale could be, like you talked about, a digital product. It could be just that you just have affiliate links that people will click on, and they can, a lot of times it's Amazon, so they click on the link to see what it is you're talking about. Like, so you're going to promote this dog leash. This is a really great leash. I've used it a lot. It's terrific. So click on this link if you want to check it out. Once they click on the link, they can buy it, or if it's Amazon, anything they buy off of Amazon in the next 24 hours, you will actually get a small, I guess it's a commission. So just, let's see, and then there's, what else could you offer? Digital products. I mean, you could offer a physical product. I guess you could drop ship from there. You could have a Shopify store where your own products are that you've purchased or made, and they could buy from there. So you would lead them from the email. You'd have a link to your website where they could buy physical products. And you could either, like I said, you could either drop ship them, or you could have physical products that you're storing yourself, and you can mail them out yourself. So there is a myriad of ways to approach it. That's sort of what's so overwhelming, is this, you'd have to make some decisions about exactly what you wanted to do. I would probably start with affiliate links, because that, even though there's not a lot of money in it typically, unless you become a very big YouTuber, I think, to me, it's a good place to start because it's pretty simple.
As long as it's relevant.
So,
All that matters.
Yeah, relevant to your product, and and you don't want to spam people, meaning you don't want to just hit them up all the time to buy things, because nobody wants that. Because she touched on that we're being advertised to all the time. So, you don't want to be that person, because everybody they'll unsubscribe from your email, and then they'll never buy anything from you. So you have to provide valuable content, meaning either videos, written words, or whatever, some kind of good content, good pictures, good photos, something fun, make people happy. And then, when you make your offer, then maybe they'll buy something. So did I explain it halfway decent?
Yeah, no, that's solid. So one of my takeaways from this was that I had always thought of email lists as a way to sell people stuff. And after this course, I see that that's kind of a limited way to think about it. Because really what an email list is it's a way for you to effectively communicate with your existing audience. It's not something you want to use to try and grow an audience. It's just a way that almost everybody who engages with you on any platform has an email, and they're probably checking it occasionally. Whether they use YouTube or Pinterest or Facebook, or they play games or whatever, most people have an email address. So essentially, your email address or your email marketing campaign is kind of like the spine of your communication with your audience across the different platforms that you aggregate your audience on. Basically, these other platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, they allow you to gain a member in your audience, to add someone to your list. From that point, the purpose of the list is for you to have a way to communicate what is going on in your business and to communicate useful things to the people who are interested. So, for example, you may have an email list where, in general, my content, for example, a lot of it is about either self-improvement or something related to self-employment, right? So I could have an email list where once a week I send out a short tutorial or guide relevant to earning money online, right? This is something that is relevant to people. And then whenever I have a product, I can attach it to the list, talking about it, letting people know it exists, but not necessarily trying to convince them to buy it. And that's kind of my takeaway here, is that email marketing is like how you communicate directly with the audience that you're growing on other platforms. So basically, you use other platforms to get somebody to know you exist, and once they're interested, then you continuously communicate to them with your email marketing. And you don't have to focus on selling something. You just have to focus on regularity. So this is where a couple metrics come in useful. You want to send one email per week or 2 emails per month. So either once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's like the ideal regularity for your email. If you let more than 5 or 6 months pass without sending an email, then your engagement in that list is going to decline. Also, you should refrain from ever purchasing email lists. You want people to be on your list who have a specific connection with you. They know your face. They've looked at one of your products. They've watched one of your videos. They've talked to you at some point. It's better to have an email list of 20 people who will actually read and look and are interested than it is to have a list of 10,000 anonymous random people. You don't want to focus on having a huge list. You want to focus on growing a list that is relevant. The people on the list actually know you in some way, and that you can give them something useful. Then, once you have established this, every week you are sending out an email that teaches something useful that's relevant to these people. Then occasionally you can bring up that you have a product. But that shouldn't be your focus. Again, your focus with an email list is to communicate with your existing audience. It's not to grow a new audience, and it's not to sell a product. You can sell lots of products through email lists, but that shouldn't be what you focus on. Because if you focus on it, your focus will shift away from adding value and focus onto selling. People will be able to tell that, and that'll lower your engagement rates. You really want to create a system where once a week or twice a month, you are sending out a useful email to people who are interested in you and your content. Once you have established that system, you have regularity, you do that on a frequent basis, and you've been doing it for 3 or 4 months, then you can start thinking, how do I integrate my products into this? But it's much better for you to focus on adding value in the beginning instead of focusing on trying to sell a product straight away. If you come across as trying to sell something, people aren't going to care. They're just going to stop reading your emails. You have to add value. You have to give something useful. And I'd actually like to show an example. So Paul Lipsky is another YouTube dropship guru kind of person. And he's really, really good at email marketing. And I know this because I've tried for a long time. And I actually read the emails that he sends because he teaches stuff in them. He isn't just like, oh, hey, look, I added this, there's this big new problem, I added the answer to my course. He'll often literally just type out the answer directly into the email. So I can just look at the email and I can be like, oh, there's this new problem, I can just use this product to fix the problem, right? I learn stuff from reading his emails, and if my email client could respond, I would be able to show you. But it doesn't seem to be. I don't know. For right now, for some reason, my Zoom is working fine. I can see you guys moving and hearing. Oh, gotcha. I trust that the internet would be wonky even if you weren't downloading something, though. Anyway, how you doing, Jeff? What's going on?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
I was listening in on your conversation on things that I have found, by the way. So I was on the YouTube, and I was doing ordering for drop shipping working as I was listening on a YouTube channel. So I figured I'd come in for the tail end.
Nice.
For that.
Yeah. Bray didn't arrive today.
What's that?
Bray didn't arrive today, but I know he took the course because he asked something about it.
Yeah, I wanted to talk. I mean, I took Paul Lipsky's course. That's really an awesome course. I mean, he's an excellent teacher. I don't know how successful he is in drop shipping because he doesn't really talk very much about himself. I do know that he was the valedictorian of his law school class, so he's an attorney. So that kind of really set my mind at ease because this is all you can. When you're looking at something, taking a course or something, you can Google it. You can Google the author, and you can see, oh wow, this guy was the valedictorian, not just a law student, but the valedictorian of his law school class. But then there was this other guy. I took a course, and his course was a lot of money. I won't say his name, but I mean, this guy purportedly he grosses about $15 million in sales a month, but his course was terrible. I mean, it was like taking a book and you had to go to chapter 60 or page 64 and then page 3 and then page 19. It was all over the place. If you don't know, you can't explain it. you may be an expert, but if you can't explain it, then and I think that's the good thing about Paul's course. Paul's course is pretty much, here's what you do, here's the first thing you do. And your course is a lot like that too. The eBay course was the precursor to me taking Paul's course. I took your Udemy eBay drop shipping course. Well, the first one I took was David Vu's course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I took your course. And they said, well, we're really specialized at Home Depot, but if you really want to talk to the Walmart guy is Jack Pittman. I said, well, Walmart's a lot bigger than Home Depot, so I want to take the Walmart guy's course. And that's how I became acquainted with you.
I have a lot of respect for Paul, because there's a lot of people who sell courses and they just don't give a crap about their actual students. For example, in Chris's Mastermind group, somebody recently joined and she had just purchased a course for $2,000, and on day one she wasn't happy with it and wanted to get a refund, and they ignored her for 14 days and then told her they couldn't refund her. And she was like someone who was on disability and was in a desperate position, and it was super predatory. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of these course creators are. They don't care at all. It's literally them just trying to convince you to buy the product, and then they're gone the second. They don't care if you think the course is good or bad. It doesn't matter.
It's like the real estate seminar circuit. It's like these folks, maybe they made a few bucks in the past on real estate, but now their business is all about coaching and consulting.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I even suggested to you that you're an expert. You've been through everything. When it comes to, you've gone through all the different possibilities with eBay, and still, even to this day, you're a real wealth of knowledge. You're going through that experience, it's reassuring, because if you have that knowledge, you could sell that knowledge. I mean, big time. It's worth a lot of money. And you may not even be familiar with the Amazon portion of it, but just okay, I'm just gonna get involved, and I know you're starting to get, you're doing other things too now, but just being more, okay, I'm just gonna keep my ear to the ground, and and like you said earlier in your talk, just act confident, I was an eBay person, and now I've decided that Amazon is the way to go, and here's my formula for success, and it doesn't, and put a price on it. Why not?
I've never really been that incentivized by earning money from something, to be honest. Especially now. In the past, I used to be a bit more incentivized because I wanted to change my lifestyle. I wasn't happy, but now I have everything I want, realistically. So I'm much less incentivized by money now. It's more about what makes me feel fulfilled, what allows me to make a difference in other people's lives, what puts me in a position where I can be a more supportive friend to the people in my circle, my friends, my family, etc. These are all the things that really motivate me now, because earning more money realistically, earning more money wouldn't change my lifestyle. I already have the lifestyle I want. And obviously, I want to be able to earn more money, because then I can do more interesting things, but it's not a huge motivator for me. But I did want to touch on Paul, because there's a lot of people who are kind of manipulative with their course sales and that kind of thing. But Paul is not like that. He's a pretty honest guy. Sometimes he has a vibe where maybe he's not sharing everything, but whenever somebody I know has wanted a refund, I don't get messages from people being like, hey, can you talk to him? He didn't refund me. I've never gotten that before. Anytime somebody's had a problem, he's taken care of them. I don't even have to talk to him. That is not how most of these other people work. Sometimes I can get other people to refund students who were communicating with them because I have some authority in the industry. So I can be like, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to make a video about it. I can blackmail people into giving refunds and that kind of thing, right?
I also think
that's never been a thing. He has a lot of integrity. And he's really good with email marketing. That's what originally brought this up, is because like
Right.
I look at his emails because I learn stuff from them. I like reading his emails, even though I don't even dropship anymore. But I read them because it's like, oh, that tells me what's going on. This update happened. People are freaking out about this. Here's 2 solutions. It's like 2 minutes and it's just boom, 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 boom. Really easy, really effective. So if any of you guys are interested in learning more about email marketing, I encourage you to sign up for Paul Lipsky's email list, and then literally just read his emails, look at the frequency of how often he sends them out, look at the copy of how he writes the emails, see how he shares links and products, see how he talks about his course. He's really, really effective with all that.
Now,
And he has been effective for like ever since he had the course like a year or 2 ago. So
do you think that he does that, or does he outsource that?
I have no idea. It could be outsourced. It doesn't really matter to me because you can sign up and then just see what he's doing or see what someone's doing for him and learn it. So that's what I'm trying to say is like if you're interested in email marketing, you can literally sign up for his email list for free. You don't have to buy his course or anything. And then you will get emails once a week that teach you how to do email marketing by studying that they're teaching dropshipping. But, you know, I would imagine someone else does it now. Maybe in the beginning he did it, but usually, like basically the way these things work, most people aren't able to produce an email once a week with regularity unless they're using a service where they sit down like once a month and they're like, all right, I'm going to write the next 3 months worth of email. And then they automatically get sent out. That's what MailChimp does and what a lot of these other services do. They make up for your human nature by letting you kind of preload all the templates. So you sit down and then in like 2 or 3 days, you make 2 or 3 months worth of weekly emails. And then these just get sent out and you can forget about it until those 2 or 3 months pass.
Right. So I was taking, I took I purchased a course on the Internet Warrior Forum. Most of those courses, you pay, they're only a small little bit of money, like $4 or $5, sometimes $10, $20. But there is like a basic, like here's an idea for you. It's not really like an intense course like Paul's course. It's more or less like here's some ideas, here's some YouTube videos they put on YouTube, and they maybe put it on a website, and they sell it on the Warrior Forum. Well, I took one of the courses, and it actually was really a good idea. And what they're talking about is they want you to go out and get people. You get an autoresponder like MailChimp or Aweber or one of the autoresponders, and then you go and you pay for solo ads. There's a site that you can go and buy other people's lists, buy an ad on their lists, and then your offer is going on their list, and they're joining your list. And then eventually you can actually do the same thing. You can sell once you get to have a few thousand people. You can sell your a spot, like a message or a broadcast on their list. So I thought that was really a good idea. And I'm gonna be 50 like in a few months. But back in 2000, in the year 2000, I had an Aweber account, and I had about 2,000 or 3,000 people. And whenever I had like an affiliate offer or something or a tool, I would broadcast that out, and like sure enough, maybe like 1 or 2% of the people on that list would buy whatever I was sending out. And just for other reasons, personal reasons, I was in the military, I let that list go and it was deleted. I never forgive myself for that, because it's still, even back then, I think it takes even longer nowadays to generate that kind of momentum and build that kind of list back up. But if you have 2,000 or 3,000 people reading your emails, and you just say, hey, here's an offer for, I don't know, mail a letter, join mail a letter and mail a letter. And then, you're getting an affiliate commission off of that. Maybe, I'm not saying you are for that, the mail letter that you talked about earlier, but let's say that you were, you say, hey, I found this great idea, mail a letter. And you put it in the email, and it's, oh yeah, I like this idea. And then you've got 4 or 5 people, and then you got like a residual income just for sending that freaking email out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have kept that list and not let that thing, go to fall by the wayside. I just got caught up in my military career. I was in the military for 20 years, and I got caught up in that, and I had to let that part of, let that part go. But I regret that. I regret that
Lesson learned.
yeah, lesson learned. And same thing with like Bitcoin and everything. The precursor to Bitcoin was this thing called DX Gold. And, I was in this DX Gold. It was like digital currency exchange. And I don't, it probably was a scam, but, at first it started to work like a charm and it was working really good. And then it bombed out. And then everybody like went to like the Bitcoin. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going to fool around. I don't want to have my name attached to any of that stuff. That seems pretty shady. And when Bitcoin took off,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, damn, no, one of these days I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it exactly right. But it's just like what you were talking about earlier. It's about just, it doesn't matter about being right. Just keep doing it. Just keep on. You feel it in your bones. It's going to happen. You just have to keep, pressing
Keep
forward.
going. Yeah.
That's my rant. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to chime in.
That's so. So I'll share a bit about. Hello again, Rita. By the way, Rita was here earlier, and then she went to grab some.
Hi, Rita.
Hello. Hi, Jeff. That was interesting. Thank you.
So I'll share my takeaway from this email marketing thing, because I've understood for a while that I would be in a better position if I had an email list of people who were interested in my YouTube channel and content and earning money online and that kind of thing. However, I know that realistically right now I'm probably not going to make that. But why I am interested in this email marketing stuff is because of my reiteration into the Spanish-speaking education world. Because I'm working on a course that will be advertised and have like a marketing budget and all that kind of stuff to Spanish speakers. So in this case, because I haven't set anything up yet, I haven't started the communications, I've started working on things, but I have the time, I have the luxury of taking my time to make sure I do things properly. And so this is something that would be perfect for an email list because it's a specific demographic of people that's different from the rest of my content. And so I can essentially be like, hey, in Spanish, of course, I want to teach you to earn money online. If you're interested, check out this list. And it'd be super easy for me to just sit down and be like, okay, let's see, there's 12 months in a year. And that means about 50 emails in a year. I could easily sit down and think of 50 things that are relevant to people trying to earn money online when they don't know anything about earning money online. Because then it's literally like, this is how you work around PayPal. This is what Payoneer is. This is how you open a US business. This is what dropshipping is. This is what YouTube is. Like, I can literally just redefine all of those base blocks and have easily a year's worth of content without too much work ahead of time. And it can all be relevant because they're all interested in this course that I'm selling to them. But the course is a bit different because it's not like a one-time purchase fee. You pay a monthly fee of like $10, and then you sign up, and I get the email address, and you get a first month for free. So that's the whole point, is that you get access to the course, and it's completely free. And then after a month, if you don't remove your credit card information, you start getting charged $10 per month. So technically, anybody could just sign up, immediately get rid of their credit card, and have the course for free for a month. The reason I'm doing it that way is because I'm marketing this towards the Latin American demographic, which has way, 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 way less money. But it's also incredibly less competitive. Distributing online earning information in the Latin American scene is not commonly done because what most of these gurus and distributors of this information do is they're trying to get very high ticket sales. They're trying to get people who will pay $1,000, $2,000 per course because that's what needs to happen for them to earn money in this course generation business model that they run. Whereas in my position, I don't have to care about it that way. I can think about it differently. So I'm really excited about this because it's something that I feel I can do that's very useful to other people. And it's also something that, like, when I meet people in person here, there's always a part where we talk about work, and I try and explain what I do, and then they're like, oh, that sounds super cool. I want to learn about it, but they speak Spanish, and they're not fluent in English, so I don't have anywhere to send them. That alone is like 30 people in person that I've already had this interaction with, and I didn't have something to give them that connected them to me online. So I know that once I have a product to give them, once I have this email list set up and that kind of thing, things could go really well. I'm really curious to see how the Spanish content website is going to play out, and that's essentially my focus of 2020. Right now, I'm just finishing up this year. I'm playing around with this video game course video. But for next year, my focus is really making this Spanish content website, having the advertising campaign, having email lists, doing like the whole shebang for what a more traditional course looks like.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's what I'm thinking also. I've been buying land on and off. I've been interested in land investing, and I bought land on eBay and I sold it on eBay. And the ones on eBay that you can find, like people basically have like a classified ad, land for sale in the middle of West Texas. There's nothing there, and you buy it for a small amount. And then you get somebody to go take pictures of it. You talk about the area, you make a really nice listing, and you can double your money, or you can get somebody to, you can quadruple your money if you're willing to take payments over a period of time. And if that person stops paying, then the land goes back to you, and then you can repeat the process. But I'm saying all this is that there's a lot of people around the world. You don't have to be an American to buy vacant land in America. You can go and you can sell that land
I gotta
in
use the bathroom like really bad. Be right back.
Okay. Yeah, you can buy.
Wow, Jeff.
Yeah.
Mind blown. You blew my mind.
What's that?
You blew my mind that you're just buying properties on eBay and then reselling them and making money on it. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done it a couple of times, and there's a couple of courses that I've taken on that. But basically, it's pretty simple. You can find land on eBay. Most of the people who are selling vacant land, they want, they'll have inflated prices, or they'll want you to, they want you to pay payments. But then there's just people who want to offload their land, like they have this unwanted vacant land. They have to pay the property taxes on it every year. So they say, I just want to get rid of this because I don't want to pay the property taxes, and I need some cash. And it's not, and it's really easy to buy and sell land. You don't have to be an American. You can sell your land anywhere in the world. You just need to have, you need to get a mobile notary to, the person you're buying from. You get a mobile notary. That person goes out. They have they have the funds, and they, you can buy it for, I don't know, you can buy it for a couple hundred or even a few thousand, depending on the land. If you're going to go over a certain amount, you probably need to have a title company. But land west of the Mississippi is relatively cheap, and you can sell it for a lot. What land is land. An item is worth what the buyer is willing to pay for it. And if you see like an ad like on eBay, you see people. I see there's one guy he sells a lot of land. And I think he buys it really cheap, and he just puts really cheap eBay descriptions. He's like, land for sale, Fort Hancock, Texas. It's close to the border. There's nothing there. It's 10 acres, which is 10 football field size. And he's selling it for $1,800. And there's really not much in that. There's nothing exciting in that that description. So if I was to buy that land for $1,800, I could, make it more pretty. I can get somebody, go out and pay somebody on Facebook Marketplace to go take pictures, and then put pictures up here and say, hey, this is only an hour away from El Paso. The land is actually really close to the border. It's a very Spanish speaking community. Fort Hancock, Texas was mentioned in the famous movie, The Shawshank Redemption. And for real, you can go right now to eBay and that land is for sale for $1,800. I'm actually tempted to buy it, but then go to a website like in Latin America, or maybe over in Japan or China, and just say, hey, I've got this land, own a piece of America. You don't even need to have a visa. $7,000. Or we can make a payment arrangement or something, and it's easy. It's easier to buy land than it is to buy a car. So
That's true in a lot of places. Same in Nicaragua. Like in Nicaragua, you can buy land as a foreigner, but you cannot have a
yeah,
car in your own name.
Thailand, you can't own land. I mean, there's a lot of countries where foreigners can't own. In Thailand, you can't. They won't let foreigners own land. You can own a condominium. That's about it, but not land. But we were talking about the marketing and just about if you had those connections, like you have the like there are people overseas, especially in Asia, that they want to buy a land in America, and if you've got a website that's in Chinese or in Japanese, and you're saying, hey, I've got this beautiful land right by the border. It's not far from the Rio Grande River. It's in a Spanish-speaking community. It's an hour away from El Paso. Here's some pictures of it. Let people feel it, romance it. Say, oh, I could just see myself living off the grid, in the middle of nowhere where nobody will bother me and my dogs can bark all day and night. But that's not what the guy who's selling the land. He's just got land for sale. Fort Hancock, Texas, 10 acres. Buildable. Ask questions before bidding. That's it.
It sounds like something that's probably an opportunity simply because of all of the deterrence. One of the things that I think a lot about now is competition. And the easiest way to predict competition is to understand what the barriers to entry are. If you have high barriers to entry, then typically you're going to have low competition. If you have low barriers to entry, you're typically going to have high competition. So when you're talking about purchasing land, this is a high barrier to entry because it's something people don't know about, and also it's something that's relatively expensive. Spending a couple $1,000s, even if you earn a couple $1,000s, is an investment. It's something that would deter most people. So these are two reasons that I would assume that reselling land is something that can be done profitably more easily than dropshipping, simply because there's less competition, and typically your profitability correlates directly with the amount of competition that you have. Granted, that's a lot of assumptions. I'm sure there's things that can go wrong, but from my time, I've learned that when you're talking about bigger expenses and more expensive products, typically you earn more money and there's less competition. Most people are very hesitant. For example, when I was drop shipping, the most profitable sales I had were like $800,000 sales. And one of the reasons for that, after I did research, was because I was the only person selling that stuff. Like anytime those items sold, I didn't have any competitors. That's why they sold.
Now, what kind of items on eBay did you sell that were like the top?
Basically, I went to Amazon. I found items that cost between $800 between $700 and $1,000, and had 2-day shipping, which was very few because almost all the really expensive items ship in a week or two. But I wanted to make sure that if there was something wrong, it could be received and returned, and the cash flow problem would have been fixed within like a week. And generally, Prime products are just more likely to have less problems. It's better and more fluid if things ship quickly, usually.
So now I don't mean to cut you off, but because this is really like super interesting to me. The Walmart, like if you did that for Walmart, $700 to $1,000 items. Walmart nowadays is offering 2-day shipping in many cases.
Walmart has. I chose not to do it with Walmart. Because a lot of their items, like their more heavy items, are going to take longer than that to ship almost always. Almost all their like $700, $800 items are not going to ship in 2 days. And it was just harder to search. Like on Amazon, I was able to find a list of 1,000 products in like 2 hours. Whereas on Walmart, I wasn't able to do that and be confident that all the products met the criteria. A lot of the products that actually sold were things like, ceiling fans, sets of chairs, this electronic owl conference thing. I don't know how to explain it, but basically it's like a little base you put in the center of a table, and then it can have like 12 people in a call just like this that are 12 people actually physically sitting around the table. So it like has a way to separate each person's face and then create a square around their face, even though technically it's viewing the entire room in one 360 like lens kind of situation. They're called owls. Also steam washers. What else did I sell that was super high ticket? Oh, no, the photography kit was cheap. Say it again? Yeah, I'm talking like $1,000 products. Sorry, I was talking to my roommate.
I probably want to like direct, have the VAs do like between 3 and 500 is more of like my tolerance, and then have them call.
So real quick, yeah, you have to do the call thing, because when you have higher priced items, the fraud rate like goes up tenfold. Way more common to have fraud with $1,000 order than it is for a $10 order. Like more than tenfold. Like when I was doing it, maybe like 1 in 3 of the transactions was fraudulent. So I learned to call, and if they didn't answer, I would cancel it and then send a message saying, hey there, nobody picked up the phone on the verified contact information. Therefore, I cannot verify that you are the actual account holder, and I have had to terminate the order. And then whenever I talked to an eBay rep, they were like, yeah, that's valid. Who cares? Like you did the right thing.
I was selling like one time when I first started, I was selling gazebos. One of my VAs listed a gazebo, and the thing was like $1,000, and it was like a freight shipment, like a freight truck. I mean, the customer had to be home when this thing was being delivered.
Yeah, and you have to schedule it.
Gazebo. Right. So a couple of them worked out fine, but like one of them was problematic. Like, no, I don't ever want to do. I'm too scared to do.
That's its own niche. Someone could literally have a drop shipping store where they only focus on freight products, and they would be able to sell regularly. Essentially, when you have like $1,000 products, you earn so much money that you can fully refund a $1,000 product once every 5 sales and be breaking even. So it's like
every time I come on this channel, and I regret I'm often very busy, but whenever I see, I learn something every single time I come on this channel. I mean, every time I participate in one of these discussions, I learn something every single time. I never have walked away without learning anything. It's amazing.
That's good.
I mean, my light bulbs just went boom, 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 boom.
It's funny. Something that I've learned about like both cheering people up and inspiring people. A lot of the times it's not like we focus so much on individual words or ideas, but a lot of time it really is just time spent in conversation. Like to feel like you have that energy and you have momentum and you want to go do something. It's not so much that you hear great ideas, it's that you're in a conversation that lasts for more than 10 or 20 minutes. Because there's a point where that energy goes away and it gets tiring. But that's like the basics of how to cheer someone up in real life. It's not about like saying a sentence that comforts them. It's not about any of that. It's about making eye contact with them and being cheerful and saying things with a positive tone and smiling a lot. And then after 30 or 40 minutes, they're like, yeah, let's do stuff, But in the beginning, maybe they won't be. And it's funny how so many things in life are like that. We think that it's about the specific ideas or the words, but really it's just about the energy, the tone of voice, the vibe, the people. Funny. But anyway, Jeff.
Yeah, but sometimes those ideas really do spark something, though. I mean, Jeff just blew my mind with this buying property on eBay thing. Wow. I've been like looking at eBay while you guys were talking, because I'm like, whoa. I mean, so that's, when you hear a really cool idea that actually seems like something that's attainable, that you could actually do it. It doesn't seem like, too pie in the sky, actually doable. That turns me on.
You have to dig. There are courses out there. There are 3 of them I can think of. There's the Land Academy with Jack, what's his name? Jack and Jill, or Stephen DeWitt and Jill DeWitt and Stephen. I can't think of his last name, but Jack and Jill Land Academy, and then there's Jack Bosch, and then there's the Land Geek, which I don't know, but there's like 3 different courses out there. But I'd get one of those, and it's a good, it gives you that basic foundational knowledge. But then it's just going out and doing it, and you have to be careful. There's a lot of things on eBay, people doing the same thing. They'll find something that they'll find that diamond in the rough that it's not really advertised very well, and it's somebody just wants to offload their land, and then they turn around and they sell it right back on the same platform that they bought it from. But then this time they put like pictures. They had somebody go out and take photos, and maybe even if they want to really invest a little bit, they go out and get a survey done. And they say, hey, you have a chance to live right by the border, and in Fort Hancock, Texas, and maybe even sell it, in another language, like Jack was saying. You don't limit your marketplace. Put that in a Spanish language, because that town, Fort Hancock, is predominantly is a border town, and that people from Latin America may want to buy that land.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You do have to look. Mistakes will be made. I'm sure. I'm sure that not everything pans out right away. And sometimes you may have to hang on to it for a few years. But I don't know. I saw something that sold in Oceanside for a few thousand. I'm like, whoa. It's I'm sure it's. I looked at, and some of the lots are very, very small. I'm not sure what someone could do with a lot that's not even a 1/10 of an acre. I'm not sure what. I guess you could camp out if it's allowed. So those are, the questions that I would have.
So this right here, this is a letter that I got, and this is just somebody's, that just does this. I get these a lot, but this is an offer to buy one of my pieces of land for like a ridiculously low price at $2,329. But if I was really hard pressed for cash, all I would have to do is just sign this document, and then they would take care of everything, and then they turn around and they sell it for what it's really worth, like $20,000 or $30,000. But I get these all the time in the mail, like, yes, if you're interested in selling me your land, and for the price of a postage stamp or like the pre-sorted letters, there's a whole industry of people do that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have friends, a married couple, that they do the tax ones. They, people owe taxes on the property, and then they're not paying them. They're in arrears, so they pay the taxes, and I don't know what else. And then they kind of have this claim, and then there's like depending on what state it's in, the owners have a certain amount of time that they can come back out of the woodwork and pay the taxes and get their property. But if they don't pay it, then what?
Yeah, every state is different, has different rules.
Yeah. And so, but you almost can't lose, because if they do come back and pay the taxes, you get all your money back. So it's really low risk.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. If you bought something at a high price, like in the state of Florida, we have a tax. It's like a hybrid system. There's a tax lien, and then there's a tax deed. You can buy a lien, and then you'll be guaranteed a certain interest rate. But if they don't, redeem that lien, if the owner doesn't pay his taxes in 2 or 3 years, you can file for a tax deed. And at that point, then there's everybody trying to bid and get the highest price for the house or the land. And that could be a little bit risky if you're not familiar with the condition of the house. You might overpay. But what I like about land is, like, land, you can be in a foreign country, you can be living in Thailand or Nicaragua or wherever. You don't ever actually have to go and see the land. It's land. It's there's no tenants, there's no toilets, there's no foundational problems. It's vacant rural land. So there's no rural land is simple. You don't need an attorney. You don't in many cases you don't need a title company. You can do it. You could if you wanted to legally, you could probably do it on a cocktail napkin and sell the land. houses are different. Houses have a lot more regulations. There's Dodd-Frank. There's all kinds of rules and regulations. But land is a lot simpler. It's like you can do it from anywhere in the world. Just get a mobile notary, and if you needed to have a document notarized, you can have a power of attorney with somebody, a friend in the States, or you can go to a U.S. embassy and have a document notarized. It costs about $50 to have that done overseas. But hey, if you're making a few thousand on land transaction at $50 isn't too bad.
It's awesome. Really great. And
I love the idea about what Jack said about the Shopify, having like a a gazebo store where we're gonna sell these freight items, and it's just we're gonna specialize in freight. It's got I can have my VAs do that. I can have like the gazebo store.
That would be something you'd want to make sure is separate from, like, you'd want to make sure that the account that's operated on isn't linked to any of your other accounts, because that is like, it's something that, like, say that you had one sale every day, that's good money in a month. However, I never did it long enough to see how PayPal feels about that kind of stuff, because I know that if you're getting a lot of chargebacks, you'll get shut down. So in the world where you're able to successfully prevent those fraudulent transactions by that verification process, then you should be okay. But I don't know. I never continued it long enough. So I just want to make that clear, that it is something that has way less competition, and I was super interested in. And if I was to dropship now, that's how I would do it. But that it is something you would want to make sure is separate from everything else, so that if something happens to it, it's not going to drag the rest of your stuff down.
So Jack, what do you think? What's the future of PayPal? I think eBay is going to go with their own payment processor, and then what's going to happen with PayPal?
Oh, it's going to keep being PayPal. My life revolves around PayPal, so from my perspective, it's still incredibly active and useful and relevant. Even if eBay doesn't use it, I don't care. I did come across a situation recently, actually, where I wasn't able to verify something because PayPal is not a bank, so I live in a very gray area because I'm not a citizen of the country that I live in. I earn money through self-employment, and all of my finances go through PayPal, which isn't considered a bank. So, like, whenever I need to verify my income, which thankfully doesn't ever happen. Like in this case, it was because a friend of mine didn't have enough money to get a visa, so they needed a sponsor, and that's it. And I wasn't able to sponsor them because PayPal is not considered a bank. So I wasn't even eligible, but it was kind of interesting.
Hey, Jack. Jack, do you have to pay income taxes in Nicaragua as well as the United States?
No. I do have to pay a U.S. income tax, though.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've been reading up on that.
And
a lot of people are announcing their American citizenship because of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the U.S. is one of the few countries that does that. So like, but it's a bit weird though, because like, say that I opened a Nicaraguan business and I was earning money, I wouldn't have to pay U.S. income tax on that Nicaraguan business. I would have to pay the Nicaraguan tax, but it all depends on how you open your businesses. Like in my case, I may live in Nicaragua, but that is completely irrelevant because my business is registered in the United States. It doesn't matter where I am. It's a U.S. business. Therefore, I have to pay U.S. income tax. So it's a little bit complicated. But the main reason that people will renounce their citizenship, is because they want to avoid that U.S. income tax. But really, like, it's hard to travel and exist this way without having a business registered in the U.S. So like, it's complicated, definitely complicated. I wouldn't renounce my U.S. citizenship. I would just like learn tax law better. So, because essentially you can always create other businesses and then just have them like, you can hire other people as foreign employees and pay them, and then they give you the money outside of the country. There's like tons of things that you can do that are like legal, but it's like, it's it's funny how if you follow the law, it's not tax evasion, but there's a lot of things people do that, I mean, really, it's evading paying taxes, but there's a legal way to do it, and there's illegal ways to do it, right? Like forming your corporations in Delaware where they have the lowest tax rates, off-sourcing things. You can set up companies in Hong Kong as a foreigner, and you pay like 2% income tax. And like anybody can do that. You can then hire yourself. So this Chinese company hires you as an American citizen, as a foreign employee, and pays you a certain amount, and you pay tax on that. But overall, it's way less than if you had the whole business registered in one place. There's so many different laws, and that's all going to change.
Dude, you know everything. You know everything.
I know a little
You know
bit
a
about a
lot.
lot of
That's
things.
amazing. Uh-huh.
But
That's awesome, though. I had no idea.
I know about that because I met someone who did that at Grind Camp. And basically, it was this guy from Australia who started a software company, and it did really well, and he was set for like the rest of his life. And so he was just traveling and touring and that kind of thing. And he explained like all of it to me and how they pay their taxes and whatnot. And it was just like, Jesus. All that's going to change though, because like most of these countries, the laws were created before the internet and e-commerce was really a thing. So they literally just don't have use cases for like all of these situations. Whereas now it's the governments are becoming much more aware that online business is a real thing, and they're missing out on a lot of tax income that they really should be getting, because that's how governments need that income in order to pay things.
Took him a while, didn't it?
But anyway, guys, I want to head out. Is there anything you guys want to touch on real quick before we end?
We're good.
Thank
here.
you. Thanks for doing this.
I didn't hear either of you because you both said something at the same time. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, guys. I will see you next week. It's Christmas in like 3 days, isn't it? Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
So we'll be back on the 28th. See you guys. Ciao.
See you. Bye-bye.